everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
Z Garcia, hello, hello.
I'm Sam Healy. What's
Every
up?
time.
It's Christmas time, or at least it's time to shop for people for Christmas. Don't wait till the last second. And today we're talking about thematic games. And what we mean by that is a game with a pretty strong theme. Maybe you or someone you know, they just want to be a pirate, or they want to be a fantasy warrior, or they want to be a space
Person.
guy, or
Space thing.
I'm running out of things to say.
Thing?
Or a Viking,
Space
or
thing.
a detective.
Someone who fights the evil sins.
Okay. Well,
Or
anyhow,
a leader in the Reformation.
we tried to pick games that are in print. So hopefully by the time that you watch this, they're in print. We recommend Cool Stuff Games to check them out and get them. So these are hopefully some fantastically themed games. We turn to the person who doesn't care about theme first.
All right, my first pick, where I debunk his myth here that I don't like theme, is The Others, Seven Sins. This game is an all versus one style game, a corridor shooter style game, in which one player, the evil player, is going to be playing one of the seven deadly sins. You have two in the box, actually. And then the other players are playing these hero-type characters who are stopping these beasties and sending them back to whence they came. And you are going to be moving around the city. It's sort of a small section of a city. Rolling dice, taking actions to push them back, way back. And that's basically it. And then the bad guy is doing movement with their beasties and attacking you back and taking away your abilities, hurting you, trying to kill the heroic characters. And they would win alone by themselves if they can beat all the other people. So it's everybody versus just one. I think the game is fantastically produced. It's got a very dark theme. It's got a very polarizing theme. But if you can get into it, it's sort of a sci-fi meets horror theme. And if you enjoy that style of all versus one, I think you're going to dig this one. The Others, Seven Sins, really fun, engaging miniatures game.
My first pick is a game called Star Wars Rebellion. And
That's
this is
horrific.
for just 2 players. But, yeah, well, you can play up to 4, but it's really for 2 players. One side takes the Empire, the other side takes the Rebellion. And the Rebellion is simply trying to keep their base hidden for as long as humanly possible. The Empire, of course, is trying to find that hidden rebel base and quash it underneath their Imperial-sized boots. And basically, it's just, if you want the original trilogy in a box, that's what you're getting with this game. It has the feel of the original trilogy like you would not believe. Rebellion is just one of those games that I really think, even though it's just 2 players, it is chocked full of theme, and you should really go check it out. Star Wars Rebellion.
It really does feel like the Star Wars story, except in this story, you might blow up a different planet.
Like Kashyyyk.
Do you know somebody who likes to play classic shoot-'em-up games on the computer and video game console, like Wolfenstein? Yes. Actually, I'm just kidding. Actually, what is it today? Call of Duty and things like that.
Yes.
All right, so adrenaline that's what this game is. Shut up, man. I'm old. You're running around in this game and you're shooting each other. You're picking up weapons and shooting each other, and it's just a quick, fast, fun shooting game. But it's actually strategy behind it too, and it's a kind of an area control game because when you get shot, you come back to life. But the person who shot you the most is going to get more points than someone who might have just shot you a little bit. Mm-hmm. And whoever does the last shot is going to get more points. So this game is not bloody and gory. It's think of it as almost like Tron in a way. You're just running around and shooting each other.
Laser tag.
You come right back.
Right.
Laser tag. That's a good word. It's laser tag with hand grenades.
Grenade tag.
Grenade tag. Oh, that's a new thing we're starting. Anyhow, it's really, if you know anyone who likes that kind of style of game on video games, I think they'll like this. But even if you don't, it's an excellent game. Adrenaline.
Ooh, all right. Do you like Cthulhu? Do you want to hug him?
Here goes that.
Do you want to walk into a house in which he has been hanging out with all his little Cthulhian pals?
I do.
Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition is the game for you. Mansions of Madness, of course, as I say, 2nd edition. This game had been out some time ago, but it has just been reprinted not too long ago in a fantastically recreated way, in which it includes now an application that you get on your iPad or whatever. And that's going to help you run the game. It's going to help you set up the game and tell the story of the game. And it really streamlines the whole thing. You, again, are walking into this mansion. You're following a story that the iPad or whatever is going to be helping you with. You are fighting beasties. You are discovering things in the rooms into which you walk, touching the icons on the screen and figuring out what's happening. But, you also have the board element in which you are putting the miniatures, gorgeous, big old miniatures on the board, fighting them, rolling dice, all of these things. And it is scenario driven. You're going to have a bunch of scenarios right in the box. So, if you really like your Cthulhu themes and you want this sort of, it's kind of dungeon delving idea, but of course in a mansion, then I think this is one you should check out. Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition.
Super spooky. Just again, as a reminder, you'll need some sort of device, electronic device to play this. Of course, I think everyone watching this has one of those, maybe?
Yeah,
maybe. All right, my my next pick for this category is also kind of a whodunit type of game. It's called London Dread. Also has an app that comes along with it, but it is free. It's for a download. You don't need it per se to play the game, but you can't really say that with Mansions of Madness.
You need it for Mansions of Madness.
You kind of need it for Mansions of Madness, but you don't need it for London Dread. It just adds to the thematic-ness of the game because it'll play like... yes, that's a word now. It's like it plays music and it reads the texts of the different scenarios for you, and it has all of these background effects that as you're going through different parts of the city. But basically, it's also a programming game, but it's a cooperative programming game because you're programming which parts of the city you're going to go to throughout the course of the day, and you're trying to figure out different parts of the story, different parts of the plot lines, so that you can have enough knowledge and ability to figure out the answer to the question, so to speak, at the end of the game. And everybody's working together. And I usually don't like programming games, but the fact that this one is a purely cooperative programming game is what really makes it fly for me, because people are helping each other program their different spots that they're going to in the city rather than trying to get in the way. So London Dread is a really cool cooperative programming game that you should check out.
Aeon's End is a game in which you are working together cooperatively, like Sam just said, and you are defending a town and some big nasty guy is coming to destroy it. Who is the big nasty guy? Well, there's several of them in the box. You pick one of them, you pick your heroes, and then you have a deck of cards which you will be building throughout the game to fight back. And you'll be casting spells and using and buying different abilities, which will help you fight this monster. But he's summoning minions and all kinds of things, to basically mess you over. So the game is kind of fun because it really requires a lot of teamwork. Like Z will say, "I need to be healed because the monster just hit me," and I'll be like, "I don't know. It looks like you could survive another round."
Heal me.
But there's back and forth, and you need to work together to stop the monster. You can make it much more difficult, make it easier. It's a good combo, and because there's lots of different heroes and there's lots of different monsters in the box, a lot of replayability too. That's Aeon's End.
Speaking of defending the town, my next pick here is called Defenders of the Last Stand, and that's exactly what you are doing. Now, I love that Fallout post-apocalyptic theme, and I think this game does that to a T. In it, you are, like I said, defending the Last Stand, which is the name of sort of the final stronghold in this barren wasteland. And several baddies and their minions are sort of marching their way into town and trying to crush you. You are going to be going on missions, finding different relics, devices from before the Fallout, trying to take down these baddies and defend the town, and ultimately, cooperatively, try to win the game. This is based on Defenders of the Realm, which was a fantasy version of this game, but this one is really its own beast. It's been changed. The mechanisms are sort of similar, but different to a degree, and I definitely like this theme a lot better.
Oh, you like the whole Mad Max thing.
I do. It's very Mad Maxian, very Fallout-ish. Defenders of the Last Stand is a nice, big, epic game, and I definitely recommend it if you're going to sit down for the evening and play a big, sprawling game. This is a good one for that. Defenders of the Last Stand.
Maybe you're the kind of person who has said, I really like the theme of a zombie apocalypse, but it's getting kind of old at this point. I want something to kind of spruce it up a little bit.
I do want to spruce it up a little bit.
Well, that's good, because Zombicide Black Plague definitely takes that, because you are playing a game that is a zombie apocalypse, but it's happening in the Dark Ages. So in medieval times, you are having this zombie apocalypse, but you don't have shotguns and baseball bats and all that kind of stuff. You have battle axes and swords and crossbows and longbows and magical fireball potions and all of this other kind of stuff.
We're back.
It's a really thematic filled rumble in the not a jungle. It's
in the streets.
It's in the middle of the streets. Yeah, I did. It just kind of fell flat. But
European
it is a incredibly thematic game that puts a little bit of a twist on the zombie apocalypse theme that is prevalent in our gaming culture today. And it does that just enough to where it just really shines, as far as I'm concerned at least. Has a great little leveling up thing for your characters. Great little placards that you can just keep everything organized. Just a lot of cool things. The miniatures are amazingly well done and easy to paint. They're single mold, so you don't have to put them together, so you don't have to even paint them either. So it's a great thematic experience, and I think it's one that if you've not yet checked it out, you really, really should. Zombicide Black Plague.
All right, this next game, we all like it, but I like it the most, I'm sure, and that's Blood Rage. Mm-hmm. You feel that?
Yes, I do. Blood Rage. Like it a lot, even, but still not as. I mean, Sam is like, he likes it all right.
Yeah,
and then me and Tom just loves it.
Yep. So anyhow, this is a Viking game about Valhalla. You're essentially in this game trying to kill as many of the other players' Vikings as you can to send them to Valhalla. Of course, they come back in the game. But at the same time, if they kill your guys, you're okay, because it's all about the glory.
Yes.
It's not necessarily about the fighting. And this game has that theme on top of it with big monsters and beautiful miniatures. But underneath it is a pretty intriguing game, too, where you're drafting cards. In combat, you're trying to outthink the other person as you play them, trying to control different areas on the board. A really solid game, has shot up to many people's favorite lists, really getting a lot of positive buzz, and it's for good reason. If you look at the front of the box and you're like, oh, that looks, you see a warrior, that is part of the game for sure, but there's a lot more than that, and even if you're not into this whole combat thing, I think a lot of people will like the game anyway.
Sure.
Blood Rage.
All right, I'm going to stick with the theme I've been running with there, that post-apocalyptic idea, but I'm going to switch over to a card game. I'm a big, big fan of card games, and thematic involved ones are sort of hard to come by. So my pick here is 51st State, the Master Set, that was released not so long ago, that took the original game and sort of spruced it up, and brought it up to sort of a little bit more modern standards when it comes to mechanisms and the how clean the game system is and all this. In the game, you are doing a very similar thing as to sort of in Defenders of the Last Stand. You're building up your town. You are trying to gather the most goodies and use them to build up, to protect and defend yourself, all of these things. But you're doing all of that through cards. You are going to be one of several different factions that come in the box. You are going to be drafting cards, playing those cards down as a building in your town, or you can use them to represent a deal with a different town down the road, or you could even just find that building somewhere out in the wilderness and attack it for some quick turnaround of items. I really like it. It's a very involved card game, but one that really appeals to me. That is 51st State, the Master Set.
You can make any game, put a post-apocalyptic theme on, and Z's in.
Yep.
Man,
hands down.
There we go.
It might disappoint him, but he will automatically be on his radar.
I'll try it.
That's right.
So what's the next monster theme we have?
Not a monster theme, but
what?
Have you ever thought what it must have been like to live back in the Reformation era?
A little.
Kinda, maybe?
Not a lot.
Well, Sola Fide, the Reformation, a 2-player card game from Stronghold Games, gives us a glimpse into that era, and it really plays out the struggle between the Protestants and the Catholics during that time. And you're struggling over different areas. You're trying to get the people to kind of be more sympathetic to your cause. And it's a back and forth game with clever card play for these different regions. Really cool thematic game, and it's one of the first of this kind that I've seen, at least, and it does a pretty good job of exemplifying that struggle that happened during the Reformation era. Really cool, educational even to an extent, because a lot of the cards are very informational on with the words that are there, and as far as why they were put into the game and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really neat, thematic yet educational game that I think you should give a whirl. Sola, Fide, the Reformation.
All right, yeah, I'm really excited. That sounds really cool. And then back to Vikings again. That's 2 Viking games in a row for me, Champions and Midgard. But this one has a very different feel to it. This is a worker placement game where you're going to be putting out workers on the board and taking Vikings. The Vikings in this game happen to be shaped like cubes. Well, they're dice, right? And so you take different dice, but then you go up and fight against trolls and other monsters of mythology, and you're trying to beat them with these dice. And it's really cool because the game's pretty quick and simple. You can say, I'm going to take a whole lot of warriors and know for sure I'm going to beat that troll. I'm going to go and try with a couple, and if I beat it, yeah, otherwise I might be in trouble. And it has a little bit of push your luck, and then getting Vikings and going out on long voyages, and there's a neat concept to the game, and it takes like an hour to play or so. Mm-hmm. Really fun. Champions of Midgard.
Cool. Yeah, it's a lot going on in that game, actually.
So we got Vikings, we got the Reformation, we got monsters, and all sorts of things.
Apocalyptic craziness.
Zombies.
If you like any of that, check those games out. And of course, we're doing other lists, so at the end of this video, you'll find links to our other 12 games of Christmas lists. But until then, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Z Garcia. Thank you, everybody.
Sam Healy. See you guys on the flip side.
Merry Christmas.